Okay, let's dive in. Today we're looking at a really iconic film, Fuji Velvia 50. It's got this almost mythical reputation.
Velvia 50, yeah. RVP.
Yeah.
It's legendary, especially for landscapes. People talk about those colors so vibrant, almost hyper-real.
Incredible saturation, super sharp too, right? But that ISO 50 speed.
Exactly. It definitely makes you work for it. It's got a look, but it demands respect.
So we've got this really detailed guide here that gets into the nitty-gritty of using it. Our plan for this deep dive is basically to unpack Velvia 50's secrets. The technical side, how you meter for it, and what it really takes to, well, master this thing.
Right. Let's get into it. The first absolutely crucial thing to understand is that Velvia 50 is slide film, E6 process.
Which is different from, say, regular color negative film, C41.
Totally different. Slide film gives you a direct positive image, the actual slide you get back from the lab. That is the final picture.
Ah, okay. So unlike negative film where you've got some wiggle room later in printing or scanning.
Exactly. With Velvia, what you shoot is pretty much what you get. The latitude is tiny.
And I guess that's where the challenge really kicks in. This guide says it's got maybe 4 or 5 stops of dynamic range, max.
Yeah, it's very limited. And the exposure latitude is incredibly narrow. We're talking plus or minus maybe half a stop.
Wow. That sounds, well, really unforgiving.
It absolutely is. And because it's that direct positive, that tight latitude means overexposure is fatal.
Fatal? How so?
If you blow out your highlights on Velvia, they go completely clear on the slide. It's transparent.
Yeah.
There's zero information there to recover. The guy puts it bluntly. Velvia abhors overexposure.
Okay, so the usual trick of maybe slightly overexposing negative film for shadow detail is completely out the window here.
Completely the opposite, yeah. Negative film handles highlights better. Slide film, especially Velvia, you just lose them instantly if you overexpose. There's no buffer.
So that brings us to what the guy calls the golden rule for Velvia 50.
Expose for the highlights. Always. Your number one job is to keep detail in the brightest important parts of your scene. Everything else, it just has to fall where it falls.
And the strategy involves some careful metering, I gather, using a spot meter.
A spot meter is key. The usual technique is to meter a mid-tone within your brightest highlight area. You're essentially telling the camera, make this bright spot look like a mid-tone.
Which effectively underexposes the whole image slightly.
Exactly. Compared to maybe what an average meter reading would suggest, it's all about protecting those highlights.
Got it. So the trade-off is, well, you might lose your shadows. They just go black.
Pretty much. You often have to accept crushed shadows. That's usually way better than losing highlights. You really need to look at the scene first, assess the contrast. If it's way more than 4 or 5 stops, you'll struggle.
Unless you use tools like filters.
Right, like graduated ND filters. But the film itself has some special tech going on too, doesn't it? The guide mentions specific FujiFilm things, PSHC, CEL.
Yeah, proprietary stuff. It's about how the dye couplers and emulsion layers work, basically pushing color purity, extending the range for really vivid reds and greens like sunrises, and keeping the grains super fine.
Right, that ultra fine grain, RMS 9, is part of the magic. That's where the sharpness and that intense saturation and contrast come from. It's baked into the film.
Are there other technical headaches?
Reciprocity failure is one. For exposures longer than a second, and especially over 4 seconds, you need to compensate with even longer times.
And you might get color shifts.
Yeah, often towards magenta, sometimes green. You need to test or consult charts. And like you said, graduated ND filters become really important tools.
Essential, maybe, for high contrast scenes?
Often, yeah. Trying to fit a bright sky and dark foreground into Velvia's range without one is difficult.
Okay, so it's definitely a specialized film, not an everyday shooter. Where does it really excel?
Well, landscapes, obviously. Nature stuff with vibrant greens, deep blue skies, maybe even some product or interior shots where you want that massive color impact.
And lighting must be key. Avoid harsh midday sun.
Generally, yes. Golden hour light is fantastic. Overcast diffused light also works really well because it lowers the overall contrast, making it easier to manage.
It kind of leans into that slightly surreal, hyper-real look it produces.
Exactly. Embrace it. And remember that ISO 50.
Means tripod territory, almost always.
Pretty much mandatory for sharpness, unless it's blindingly bright out. You'll need those slower shutter speeds.
So to really get good results, it's about precision, avoiding mistakes, like processing.
Oh, absolutely critical. It must be E6 process.
Yeah.
If you cross-process it in C41, you get, well, something else entirely. Wild color's not the Velvia look at all.
And accurate gear. Calibrated camera, trustworthy light meter.
You can't rely on gear that might be off.
Yeah.
It really demands that you understand light, maybe develop an intuition for it.
A feel for the dynamic range.
Exactly. It takes practice and patience.
You have to be ready for some shots to just fail.
Oh, for sure. You'll likely have a lower keeper rate, especially at first. But when you do nail it,
It's magical.
it really can be. The results are stunning, but it demands discipline.
Okay, so let's wrap up this deep dive. Fuji Velvia 50. Incredibly rewarding, but demanding. Its defining traits are that limited dynamic range and the absolute rule of exposing for highlights.
Mastering it takes precise metering, choosing your scenes carefully, and just rigorous technique.
It forces you to think very deliberately about light and exposure.
It really does.
Which leads us to a final thought for you listening. Does the kind of discipline needed to really master an unforgiving film like Velvia 50 end up changing how you approach all your photography, even if you shoot digital most of the time? Something to chew on.